Just 2 years into World War II, German forces were swallowing up the coastlines of France and Norway, securing strategic bases along crucial trade routes. Meanwhile, on the other side of the English Channel, Britain faced a daunting challenge. With its major combat fleets redirected to protect vital supply lines from their colonies, the British front lines were left vulnerable to a formidable enemy, the notorious German U-boats. These underwater predators struck with lethal precision, turning a vast part of the Atlantic into a hunting ground for unsuspecting vessels. To make matters worse, Germany possessed a highly advanced encrypted communication system called Enigma. Even the most brilliant codebreakers in Britain had no hope of breaking its intricate patterns anytime soon. Britain was in desperate need of a breakthrough against the raging enemy, and then, amidst the vast expanse of the sea, fate began to weave an extraordinary chain of events that would ultimately lead to the capture of Hitler's most secretive weapon, marking the beginning of the end for the deadly reign of German submarines. A surprise encounter. It was May 9, 1941, in the Atlantic Ocean, south of Greenland. A convoy of ships sailed in the treacherous waters of the North Atlantic under the watchful eyes of the British Royal Navy's 3rd Escort Group. Among the escort was HMS Obriatia, a Flower-class corvette, diligently patrolling the waters, ever vigilant for any signs of the enemy. In the early hours of the day, Obriatia's crew spotted a lone survivor from the torpedoed SS Esmond in the water and quickly moved to rescue him. Just as the crew completed the rescue operation, their sonar detected a German submarine nearby, and soon a deck officer could spot the periscope of a U-110 far in the waters, the very same submarine that had sunk the SS Esmond. Recognizing the imminent danger, Obriatia's crew sprang into action, launching a fierce counterattack. Depth charges rained down upon the submarine, forcing it to the surface. Inside the U-110, chaos erupted as the crew desperately tried to evade their relentless pursuers. Captain Julius Lemp, a seasoned U-boat commander, attempted to dive deeper to evade the danger, but the unyielding depth charges offered him no respite. As the tension escalated, 2 more vessels from the British escort, HMS Bulldog and HMS Broadway, arrived on the scene. Broadway skillfully maneuvered itself to ram the U-boat, while Bulldog unleashed a barrage of fire from her deck guns. As the explosive charges rattled the submarine, Captain Julius Lemp knew time was running out. Faced with imminent destruction, he made the difficult decision to abandon the sub. Determined to protect the valuable intelligence within, he activated a self-destructing explosive charge, intending to send the U-110 and its contents to the depths of the ocean. "Last stop, everybody out," he shouted, urging his crew to abandon the sinking vessel. German sailors began to emerge from the U-110, with their hands held high, signaling their surrender. However, the crew on Bulldog, momentarily unaware of the surrender, continued their fire. Broadway stood ready to ram the sub into pieces. Amid the chaos, the escort's commander, Joe Baker Creswell, on board HMS Bulldog, swiftly recognized the situation. He ordered an immediate ceasefire and the capture of the fleeing sailors. As the German crew was out, the sub was expected to sink within seconds. But fate had other plans. Against Captain Lemp's intentions, the explosive charge detonators failed to ignite. The submarine was still afloat. Acutely aware of the consequences of the capture of his vessel, surrender was not an option for the resolute German captain. Like a true sailor, he was prepared to sacrifice his life before allowing his ship to fall into enemy hands. The capture. Determined to protect the valuable intelligence aboard U-110, Lemp leaped into the water, planning to return to the submarine and destroy it himself. But fate was not in his favor that day. Lemp disappeared underwater, never to be seen again. Some of his comrades said the British deck guns shot him, but most of the crew believe he was swallowed by the deep waters. Alongside Lemp, 15 men lost their lives, while the Royal Navy captured 32. The abandoned U-110 now awaited the British to take it over. Aboard HMS Bulldog, the crew prepared for the daring boarding mission. Although the sub was still standing over the water, it was unclear how long it would remain afloat. The constant shock waves from nearby depth charges and the mounting water pressure threatened to bring it crashing down at any moment. The Bulldog's crew knew they had to act fast. Sub-Lieutenant David Balm, a young regular officer of the Royal Navy, took the lead of a 5-man boarding team in a whaler. With a revolver in hand and his heart pounding in the cold Atlantic air, Balm bravely stepped onto the eerie, dimly lit submarine. Expecting resistance by leftover men aboard the sub, he was pleasantly surprised that the U-110 was deserted. Following him, the boarding team swiftly spread out, meticulously searching every corner of the crampy submarine. And soon, the trained eye of a radio operator, William Stewart Pollock, spotted the peculiar wooden box in the communication room. the coveted Enigma machine, the ultimate prize every British sailor in the Atlantic could hope for. And with this discovery, the crew instantly realized the magnitude of their accomplishment. The signaler began to carefully unscrew the box from the wall, while Balmy ventured toward the captain's quarters. His anticipation was richly rewarded. The captain's room was a treasure trove of codebooks, charts, radio encryption, and a collection of grid maps, including the elusive Atlantic U-boat grid. History must have held his breath, as the next step was to form a human chain up the conning tower ladder and along the deck of the U-boat to the whaler. For the next 4 hours, Balmy's team passed the boxes of documents up from hand to hand, loaded them into an electric boat loaned from Broadway, and carried them back to Bulldog. Now that that business was done, the fate of the U-110 hung in the hands of Commander Joe Baker Cresswell. Initially, he decided to tow the U-boat to the nearby base in Iceland, but the sub sank shortly after. Perhaps a stroke of luck, as the sub vanished underwater, no one in German forces suspected their most valuable Enigma machine had fallen into enemy hands. The capture of the U-110 with its many vital documents became top secret, and thus the course of the battle began to shift. Mission Primrose. With their valuable prize in hand, HMS Bulldog first docked in Iceland to collect a load of prisoners. The ship then swiftly set sail toward Scapa Flow, a protected bay near Orkney Island in Scotland. Throughout the journey, Commander Cresswell took extraordinary precautions to ensure the mission's success remained a well-guarded secret. Only a select few officers knew the full extent of what had transpired. The coded message sent back to base contained only the necessary information, and the U-110 prisoners were kept isolated from the rest of the prisoners of war. Upon the Bulldog's arrival in Scotland, Lieutenant Alan Bacon, a special liaison officer between the Navy and the Operational Intelligence Center, boarded the ship. His was to examine the contents retrieved from the U-110. Lieutenant Bacon confirmed the incredible find of a secret German Enigma machine and codebooks, and promptly reported this discovery to his superiors. The Enigma machine and accompanying documents were photographed, carefully packed, and airlifted to Bletchley Park in England. Bletchley Park was the top-secret British code-breaking center where the brilliant Alan Turing and his team tirelessly worked to decipher the German codes. The Kurzsignale codebook, also retrieved from U-110, proved a crucial breakthrough for breaking the Enigma code. According to German protocol, the Enigma machines were updated with a new set of codes every 24 hours, making it an immense challenge for the British codebreakers. The Kurzsignale codebook, however, contained the new setting keys for Enigma until July 31st, providing ample time to study patterns and construct a complete sequence of Enigma settings. Exactly 1 month after its capture, on June 9, 1941, the British codebreakers achieved the monumental milestone. They decoded the Enigma machine. Now armed with the ability to decipher German communications, the British gained a tremendous advantage. They could anticipate U-boat movements, protect convoys, and respond swiftly to potential attacks. But the intelligence gathered from U-110 went beyond just the Enigma machine. It included grid charts used by the Germans to position their U-boats in the Atlantic. There were also charts revealing the locations of underwater minefields and an updated list of German code names for their Atlantic patrols. With this newfound knowledge, the British gained a significant tactical advantage to coordinate their fleets more effectively. And the results soon followed. Within days, Britain sank 15 German supply ships and even an armed raider, Prinz Eugen, in the Atlantic. Meanwhile, British losses were cut by more than 50% in the first month alone. The impact of the U-110 capture was so profound that it was said to have shortened the war by 2 years, saving countless lives. This extraordinary operation was later named Operation Primrose. Sub-Lieutenant David Balm was honored with the Distinguished Service Cross by the King for his bravery during the mission. For decades, the true nature of the mission and the discovery of the Enigma machine remained shrouded in secrecy. In fact, during the war, the intelligence gathered from U-110 was classified at the ultra level, more confidential than top secret. Only those with the maximum security clearance knew the details until the 1970s, when a few papers started talking about the event. Astonishingly, even today, the British government does not officially recognize the capture of U-110. Nevertheless, the story of Operation Primrose and its heroes lives on, serving as a testament to the courage displayed by those who risked their lives for their country during wartime. It is a tale of bravery, ingenuity, and the remarkable triumph of British intelligence that forever changed the course of history.